10th May dawned bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheatre performed by the Union Buildings in Pretoria. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy, and now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic non racial government. On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zenani. On the podium, Mr. De Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president. Then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the Constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of the Republic and its people. To the assembled guests and the watching world, I said, today, all of us do, by our presence here, confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. We, who were outlaws not so long ago, have today been given the rare privilege to be the host to the nations of the world on our own soil. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take position with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. We have at least achieved our political emancipation. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. So, what we have seen basically here is the inauguration, the exact scene of the inauguration is described here by Nelson Mandela, and he has sworn in, and what were the exact words he spoke there have been written by him, and it is printed in the text here. For a detailed note, you can go through it once again, and you can read the text till where I have read till now and understand once again. But as of now, I will be doing the comprehension check. Here, the questions given are: where did the ceremonies take place? Can you name any public buildings in India that are made of sandstone? Can you say how 10 May is an autumn day in South Africa? At the beginning of his speech, Mandela mentions an extraordinary human disaster. What does he mean by this? What is the glorious human achievement he speaks of at the end? At the beginning of the speech, Mandela mentions an extremely human disaster. What is that human disaster? That human disaster is the South Africans were not accepted as a human. They were not even given the place of a human being, and they were treated, misused, and they were abused in every possible way because of their color and their physical features. They were not even accepted as a human being. But Nelson Mandela was, first of all, he says that I am not asking for my freedom. He is very aware that he was born free. He was very aware that he was born free, and that is the exact root idea which he had got in the first place. And the first text is clearly mentioned about whatever is the swearing in ceremony. First, the deputy president gets sworn in on the podium, and then Mandela comes onto the stage, and the text whatever is given here is the exact words what he had said actually at the time when he was being sworn in as the president, and he was accompanied by his daughter. And he says that what once was white supremacy, that means the people who were um, the people who were white and they had the upper dominance, but today he says that he sees a rainbow gathering. That means, what he simply means is, there are a mix of people of different colors in the congregation sitting and listening and attending the inauguration. Yes, so this is the picture of Nelson Mandela, which is there in the textbook itself, and you can go through the textbook and you can also answer the questions here. What does Mandela thank the international leaders for? The international leaders here are thanked for their presence, because if not for them, there would not have been any ceremony. Because the inauguration ceremony, it was a very big thing, because it was the first black president being sworn in, and it was attended by all these dignitaries. So and these international leaders. So that is why Mandela is thanking them for their presence, that they are there. What ideals does he set out for the future of South Africa? Nelson Mandela is very clear in his speech here. He says that till today, whatever the cost they have paid for the freedom, it should not go in vain, and never, never, and never again. He stresses on the word never 3 times. So that means he is adamant that that land should not be taken for granted anymore. And in his own words, never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. Have you noticed he has not mentioned oppression of one by another? He has not mentioned the names of the white people as of such. He says of one by another. That means he is saying that not only within themselves, but also the white supremacy is coming to an end. The oppression should not be from the white people, and neither by one another within their groups also. So that was the first part of the text. Now moving on to the second part on page 19, I will be reading the text again. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers rolled in perfect formation over the Union buildings. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. Only moments before, the highest generals of the South African Defence Force and police, their chests bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. Finally, a chevron of Impala jets left a smoke trail of the black, red, green, blue, and gold of the new South African flag. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems and the vision of whites singing Nkosi Sikelel e Africa, and blacks singing the Estem, the old anthem of the Republic. Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despised, they would soon know the words by heart. On the day of the inauguration, I was overwhelmed with a sense of history. In the first decade of the 20th century, a few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War and before my own birth, the white-skinned peoples of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark-skinned peoples of their own land. The structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, most inhuman societies the world has ever known. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century and my own eighth decade as a man, that system had been overturned forever and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedoms of all peoples, regardless of the color of their skin. So basically what he is saying is, the display of the airplanes with all the colors mentioned here very clearly in the text, and the with what precision and what here he says the display of a pinpoint precision of military force and the demonstration of military's loyalty to democracy, to a new government. It is a very emotional thing for Nelson Mandela and for everyone present there, because the new democracy was born. It was not a joke. And here himself he mentions that there were so many wars fought in the 20th century to achieve this freedom and this particular moment of whatever he is written here. And he also says that two national anthems were sung. The two national anthems was the first one, the vision of whites. It was the vision of whites. That means the white colored people. They were singing Nkosi Sikelel Africa, and the blacks singing the Estem. And prior to that, they did not know what the meaning of these each song meant, but both the national anthems, and it was a big thing that two national anthems being sung. That means the collaboration of the two democracies, the white supremacy and the people of now, that means the Nelson Mandela's South African government, the democracy Congress one. So the combination of the singing of the two national anthems itself is a symbol that they are getting one, they are being merged into one. And he also mentions about the Anglo-Boer War. Yeah. And it patched up a lot of things, because the dark skinned people were treated inhumane. They were treated at, it was on the basis of the one of the harshest, most inhumane societies the world has ever known. And Mandela was born in this time of after this, because he says before his own birth, the Boer War, Anglo-Boer War had taken place, and now he was in the 8 decades. This was the change he had seen. But if you want the exact details, the text has been very clear with each and everything, and I will be discussing it at the oral comprehension check question answers. So these people, the pictures given here, Oliver Tambo, Walter Cicero, Chief Luthuli, Yusuf Dadu, Bram Fisher and Robert Subukwi. These are the pictures given in your text as well. You can see them very clearly. And as the story progresses, I read further. The day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of my people whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. I felt that day, as I have on so many other days, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. That long and noble line ended and now began again with me. I was pained that I was not able to thank them, and that they were not able to see what their sacrifices had wrought. The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from that profound hurt. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect, and that was that it produced the Oliver Tambus, the Walter Sicilis, the Chief Lithilis, the Yusuf Dadus, the Bram Fishers, the Robert Subuskis of our time, men of such extraordinary courage, wisdom, and generosity that their like may never be known again. Perhaps it requires such depths of oppression to create such heights of character. So then this part I will be explaining it now in the coming video, the next part of the video, because the every text has to be explained clearly.